Welcome, everybody, to the Think Different podcast, the only Apple podcast with two former Apple retail employees with 20 years of combined experience. We discuss the news in the Apple universe and share our retail experiences. This week, we are discussing various news articles, including the Apple Enterprise Milestone, the Apple Fitness Plus, Adobe, Rest in Peace Flash, what's coming next for the M1 Max, and finally, our subject of the week is all about the Apple creative role and what will happen after COVID-19 if this role will even exist. I am Will, TLD, former Apple specialist, creative, and genius, along with me every single week, Mr. Keto Frank Funk, the former Apple creative himself. Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Will. How are you?
I'm good, man. I actually wrote a script this week.
There you go. There you go.
It's 2021. It's a new time for us, and we're growing this year. A lot of things have changed, in my life since the last time we spoke. Starting a new job now, which is great to be back on the job market. And Frank, I gotta ask, we have to know your keto weight. Where are we at?
I'm still stable. 195.
195. But remember, if you're new to this podcast, where did you start?
249.
Wow. Now, we're not a keto podcast, but we basically should be.
Yeah. And listen, I have you and Tara to thank for that. Because,
yep.
It just works. And, if anybody's interested and they're listening and they're not sure, do some research on it. And I found anyway that we really didn't feel deprived. There's your
Zevia
soda.
That's right. For those who are watching on the YouTube channel, we have Zevia. Not sponsoring this week. Should, because I drink it all the time. It is a clear soda, and it has no carbs, none of that crap in it. It's good for you.
And, the biggest thing that people need to think, well, you're going to cut this.
Oh, wait a minute. We have a guest here.
Oh,
I got scared. Ladies and gentlemen, on the podcast for the very first time. Ladies and gentlemen, bring him over. It is, don't die. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my son, Lucas.
Oh, you should have introduced Tara first. She did all the work.
Tara's here too, everybody. My wife is here of 6 years here, and along with us. Luke, I have to ask, what's your favorite part of the podcast?
When Frank talks.
That's right. And my cat's here now, too, so the whole family is here. That's right. We had a cat. Wow. Episode 76 is now like the entire family has arrived.
Yep. And, he has had a very good life so far. He's never seen a Dallas defeat.
That's right. That's true. That is a fact.
Stupid Eagles.
Yeah. Well, technically he did with the us losing to the Giants. So, yes,
wow.
He technically did. But this is my bundle of joy. This is the reason of living right now is for this guy. And her too. But, this guy right here. Lucas, he's the cutest guy. He's even got the faux hawk going and everything.
He is very cute. You guys are very blessed.
All right, Lucas, I don't mind this, but I have to continue the podcast, okay? So you're going to go to sleep, all right? You're going to give him some milk.
Yeah, we have milks.
All right, you got to take the cat too, by the way. Now,
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Oh, and she almost tripped for the second time here because we have all the baby stuff. All right, now that I kicked my son out of the podcast, it is time for something new. We're going to start off with a format. We're going to do our news articles, and then we're going to go right into our main subject. So now it's time for the news.
The news, yes.
Well, the first article we're going to talk about is the Apple Enterprise Management Company known as Jamf, which thing I use every day. Jamf announced today that the platform powers 20 million devices worldwide and serves over 47,000 customers, which is a new milestone for them. Over the course of 2020 alone, Jamf has added more than 4 million devices and 10,000 customers and is now powering 24 of the 25 most valuable brands. Jamf runs on all 10 of the largest U.S. banks, 10 of the top 10 global universities, 16 of the top 20 best U.S. hospitals, and 7 of the top 10 Fortune 500 technology companies. It's a management software for businesses, schools, hospitals, government organizations, and it's a Apple device management purpose, so it controls everything. I use Jamf all the time. Since I've been in IT, even Apple uses Jamf. They have it at our work. They have an app called Self-Service, which is like your work's personal app store. That's what it is. And they use that to install or download images from iPhone, like new images that come out. We have to install them on all the computers so they're ready to go. So that's Jamf, and it's a big company, and they're just growing more, which is great for someone like me who's in the IT field, because now more companies are leaning towards being just Mac only. An example of that, Blue Apron is only Mac.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a couple of questions for you on this.
I'd love to answer those questions.
Okay. You said it was an Apple enterprise. Is it solely Apple owned?
No,
is it in conjunction?
it's an independent company that works in conjunction with Apple. Apple did not come out with this. Apple has the control of what's called DEP, which is it is the device enrollment, which Apple has to know about. But as far as the actual distribution of the software, now there's more than just one out there, but Jamf is the most well known.
Now, a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, some people look at this type of software as almost invasive to their privacy, in the sense that if they get a business machine, some people expect to do whatever they want to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this software that you're using, this company, what it does is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it puts an image on, and it can restrict users from downloading anything they want.
It restricts whatever the company wants to be restricted.
Yes, that's what I mean. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
by the way, every company does it everywhere. Don't think that it's like a new thing. This is anywhere you work, whether it's Windows or Mac, you're restricted in some way.
Right. And but I was reading some of the articles on it, and some people are kind of up in arms about it. And I was like, seems kind of weird, because when I was working, the IT group, they put on what you needed to have. And they did not like anybody that went out and just downloaded something or installed something on their network that wasn't approved. Mm-hmm. So in theory, this is nothing new. It's just a much easier way to control what goes on the company machines.
Correct.
And in fact, if you recall, way back when, there was a big to-do about a company phone that was used for illegal purposes. And had the county had used a piece of software like this, that would have never been able to happen.
That's why it's important that if you're going to give a work phone, that you control that too.
Yes, absolutely. Apple has added several new goal-seeking workouts in its Plus subscription services as part of the new weekly series that aims to keep users on top of their training and stay motivated into the new year and beyond. Fitness Plus videos are set to songs pulled from Apple Music, which can be listened to even by non-Apple Music subscribers. However, if you do subscribe to Apple Music, be sure to check out the new Fitness Plus playlist that Apple has started promoting in the Apple Music app. Fitness Plus costs $9.99 per month or $79.99 per year, or in the Apple One Premier bundle, which is priced at $29.99 per month and also offers Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, Apple News Plus, and I'm going to repeat that, 2 terabytes of iCloud storage. I have to say, with Apple Fitness, I've tried it a couple of
Oh,
times.
oh, you did? Okay, I was hoping so.
I did, and how do I want to put this?
Uh-oh.
Uh, um, in my personal opinion, I think they should try to group them by age.
Okay.
It's tough for me to keep up with someone of your generation, your age group. Um, I don't know that you would have a problem, but they can get pretty strenuous. And I mean, I understand the point of it, that they, you want to work up a sweat, you want to do that, but I think there should be some for maybe, beginners,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like older folks.
Okay, fair enough. I think I have not subscribed to it. I haven't seen much. I saw videos of people doing it. I love it. I think it's a great idea, but that's a great point. I think that if they do have it for older people, would you like it if in the background they also had older people doing the workouts? Or do you don't care who it is?
I don't care. I mean,
Okay.
the fact that you can put it on your Apple TV, put it on your big screen TV, had come through your home pods. I mean, it's nice, it's good, but there's a point where you just got to say, okay, don't know that I'm going to be able to make it to the end of this, and you just kind of break it off. But I think it's all formatted very well, and I think they're going to be pretty successful with it.
I do too. And what I was surprised about this was that even non-Apple Music subscribers can get these songs, which I thought was really interesting. That was the one thing I took away from that, was that there is Apple Music normally you have to pay for, but in this case with this fitness series, you get those for free. So there you go.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So I think they're really trying to hit all people, a larger audience, and maybe they will branch it out and segregate it by age group at some point. But I think they're just trying to get it out there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a good hit.
Frank, do you hear that gong going off? Because I hear the Adobe gong going off because it's official. The end of Flash support has happened. Apple made the announcement a couple of years ago, and now it's official. In 2021, the support for the software has ended, and Adobe will begin blocking the content from running in the Flash player beginning January 12th. We could thank Apple for this to happen. In the past, Apple Flash player had such bad vulnerabilities and exposed Mac and PC users to malware and other security risks that caused vendors like Microsoft and Apple to work tirelessly to get the security fixes. Since Flash Player will no longer receive updates, Adobe recommends that all users immediately remove the software to protect their systems. Very interesting article here because we knew this was coming. That means remember back in the day when people had all these Flash websites?
Yeah.
They won't even work anymore.
Yep.
So hopefully everybody out there who has a video player and is still using Flash has made that change or that jump, because on January 12th, it will block the content.
Well, the other thing that I need to emphasize, as well as you did, is that there is a process that you need to go through to make sure all of the Adobe Flash content is removed from your Mac. So I would highly recommend that
It's on
people
Adobe's
go out to this
website.
article.
Yeah, go out to the article, go to the
And
Adobe website.
the first step is go to your applications, remove Flash Player, but then you have to go to Utilities, double click on it, and go through a complete uninstall. And if you should get any notifications in the future,
It's fake.
it's a fake. It's malware. People trying to get into your system. So hopefully people will hear the word and get this done, and you won't have too many intruders using fake Flash player to get into your computer. Now we're talking about Bloomberg. Bloomberg reports that Apple is hard at work on the chips that will power the next round of Apple Silicon Macs, and the top of the line version could have as many as 32 high performance cores. Apple is working on a new chip design with as many as 16 power cores and 4 efficiency cores, according to the report. Apple is expected to release new iMacs, possibly with a radical new design. Now, the current design is approximately 15 years old. So
it's not 15 years old.
Yeah,
but
2006.
Okay, yeah, probably about. Well, it's thinner, so technically. Yes. Okay, so technically, it wasn't. 2012 is when they made the change to the thinner design. But the Mac and the iMac Pro don't count because it's just black.
So, and then they're going to have 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros in 2021. On the graphics side, Apple is testing 16-core and 32-core GPUs, a huge bump from the 7 and 8-core GPUs offered by MacBook Air and MacBook Pro, respectively. For the higher-end Macs, Apple is reportedly testing variants with 64 and 128 dedicated cores, which could rival the latest cards from NVIDIA and AMD. Sources told the publication that Apple could still choose to hold back these chips in favor of lesser versions for next year's Macs. Even so, they will likely be much faster than the Intel models they're replacing. Well, this, I think, is exceptional in terms of what the company is doing. Now, the only thing that I would not like to see is I would not like to see them hold back those chips and put out a lesser version. I would really...
I can't imagine they will. I can't imagine they will.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing I got from the article that I thought, I wouldn't like them to do that. But, you know, I'd rather see them not put a chip out in certain models until the better chip is ready, rather than put in an interim chip.
And the higher end Macs, like you're talking about the big 27-inch Macs and the 16-inch MacBook Pros, are going to they need to have that big GPU jump, because if they're going to not use NVIDIA and AMD, which are the two biggest names in the graphics business, and they're just going to say you can use the Apple chip and you don't need anything else, again, that's another company now they don't have to be involved with. They are now just, the whole board is only Apple. There's no NVIDIA. There's no Intel. Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty big deal. If they can get to this level, that'll be amazing.
And it's a big plus for the consumer.
Yes.
And why I say that is because now, if something should happen to your machine, it's solely Apple.
Yep.
There's no more, like, on a Windows machine, if you put in a graphics card in a video machine, a Windows machine, and you had a problem, they say, oh, well, it's the graphics card. You call it a graphics card, say, oh, no, it's this or that. There's no
excuse. No excuse.
It's like, okay, we'll fix your problem. Yep. And Apple support is going to be really honing in on this. I'm sure they're going to have some super diagnostics that are going to report back to them and give them all the information they need to fix any sort of problem, or at least put you on the right course.
Well, I could tell you who won't be putting you on the right course very soon. That might be a creative, Frank, because we're gonna talk about our main subject right now, which is our Apple Store subject of the week. We've kind of been staying away from the Apple Store because, honestly, there's not much going on at the store. You can't even visit one, barely. I can't get a reservation to bring my phone in at all. I have a better shot of going to a Best Buy than going to an Apple Store right now. So we want to talk about the Apple Creative role because this is a passionate role that me and Frank were both a part of. I was a part of it for 4 to 5 years. Frank, you were part of it for probably like what, 6 years,
Yeah.
5 years as well.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about where the journey started and where it is today and what is the future of this role, because I don't know about Frank, but I'm personally worried about where this role is going to be going in the future. So let's talk about it. So we started our creative journey with the one-to-one program, the greatest in-store training program that was out there, one-to-one, where
Yeah.
people got to make a reservation. You paid for a $100 membership for 1 year. You get to come in basically once a week to get training with someone who knows the Mac OS the best.
And you would choose what you wanted to work on,
Yep.
whether it was GarageBand, Keynote, Numbers, Pages, any
Mail.
Apple program, and even went into the Pro programs. So if you had Logic, if you had the others,
Final Cut Pro,
Cut,
Aperture, if you want to go back in the day.
Aperture, remember Aperture, yeah. And you would book an hour session and pretty much once you started the program, you got familiar with a particular creative. And if you liked that person, you could book your session at the end of your current session you were in for next week. And you could even, in some cases, book more than one session per week.
If you got lucky on that, yes.
Yeah.
But these were booked all the time. But the one-to-one, what made it special is that you talk about the community in the store. You have one part of the store which is all detractors, negative people at the Genius Bar are not happy about their product, people who are new, and then people who are invested into their product. And that's what this role did. My father created 3 videos for my wedding that I had no idea about in iMovie because of this program that he came in for. Now, when the role was around for a long time, when we joined Apple in 07, this was already a membership. It already existed. It got better because we had more opportunities. We had different style workshops. We had personal projects where they just come in for 3 hours. One creative for 3 hours would just be, or 2 hours was with one group of people that just wanted to work on their stuff. It wasn't even a training. It was just like a shoulder.
Well, each person had a project that they were working on. And then you had the creative would not be tied down to one person. They would move from person to person.
Right.
If they had a question.
Right. And then they had like smaller training workshops. I forget what they were called, but they were like no more than 3 or 4 people. They were basically an interaction with just that many people learning the same subject. That took a little bit of time to get people used to that because one-to-one was so popular.
Yeah, that used to be the specialist. At least that's where I got familiar with it. That the specialist would sometimes do those.
Well,
there was like an introduction.
So there were 2 different ones. Apple would have a workshop that specialists would do, which, by the way, a lot of them did not want to do. In fact, a lot of them would push it off to somebody else.
Yeah.
And then they had ones that were creatives that did it, and you could tell there was a difference. So Apple made a mistake there by still having the workshops and doing the creative ones because there's a clear difference in the quality. And 2, a lot of people didn't want to do it. Plus, you're giving away a free service that, honestly, for $100 is worth it anyway.
Yes.
Now, the role began to change when one-to-one came to an end. Now, I don't remember what year that was. I think it was like 2015, 2016. Apple decided to end the one-to-one membership completely. It was only 1 year left, and that was it. And there was really a weird transition. Now, Frank, I want you to talk about that because I think you were creative as that changed. So talk about that.
Well, it's like any service you pay for, whether it's a gym or the one-to-one. If you use it, it's a great service. If you only use it once a year, it's not so great. And what happened, those that used it were very disappointed because they were now grouped into a session where the participants' level on the subject matter were all over the map. So it was hard for somebody that was transitioning from the one-to-one, where they were beyond basics, to sit in an hour session, and the creative, myself and yourself, would have to figure out a course that's going to satisfy the beginner and the advanced person. And that initial transition was not very successful, because you had a group of people from the one-to-one that were expecting the same level of training and interaction. And with the group, because these groups were maxed out at 8 people. Now, 8 people in a session is a little tough.
And a small table, by the way, as well.
Yes. Yeah. So the transition for some was not so good, and they just didn't participate in the free workshops because they were either beyond them, or they had specific questions that were beyond
Right.
the course matter.
But the one thing too, Frank, is what started when one-to-one ended. More so, what were the creatives doing?
Well, that's when all of the creatives we got together and tried to put together some sort of course material, because it was pretty much kind of up in the air. Like, what were we going to cover? What were the products we were going to cover? So it was,
But did they give you like one-to-one ends that day? There's no more training sessions. What's
Right.
the next day? What did you do? That's what I don't remember, because I don't think you did anything. I
No.
think you were kind of relegated to personal setup, which I know you definitely did that,
Yes.
and you were relegated to like manning the third-party wall.
And well, there was also a period where, if people had questions, okay, like the
Right.
specialist, like you and I, when we were specialists, we could spend time with the person buying the product and show them different things.
Mm-hmm. That's right. They did have personal question. That's right. You guys did that too. Those are the two things you were doing, with
Yeah.
personal setup and like a table where someone could approach you and ask questions.
Yep.
Which is, but like that's like so far beyond of where what your skill set is, and that's what was upsetting about that. So eventually, they
Well,
found.
don't forget, the positioning of where we were
Mm-hmm.
was also not very conducive to that kind of setup, because we were just in front of the Genius Bar. And so if somebody has a question, we're kind of out of the loop from the front of the store. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little awkward.
Yeah, and then eventually they figured out a solution called Today at Apple, which was a free which is still today something that's happening. Is it's a free session to go into, and you learn about a very particular subject in a particular app, or it's a particular style. So example would be photography or videography. They're not saying iMovie, they're saying photography. Like they're trying to teach you how to do photography with your iPhone, or videography with your iPhone, or how to create music in GarageBand, more specifically like using like the sounds around you.
Yes.
I have to get your feedback on that, Frank, because I already know it based on your face.
I don't know. Well, I mean, depending on the store. And what I mean by that, you remember when we were in Freehold with the one-to-one, we used to celebrate those people from time to time. We would feature people that had spent time on the one-to-one. You remember the singer-songwriter that came in,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and they did a presentation to whoever was in the store on how they did it, and so on and so forth. If you are in a feature store like
Like fifth, like you would say like
Fifth
Prince
Avenue,
Street, yeah, Fifth Avenue or Prince Street.
yes, or the one in Philadelphia, if you had that kind of store, you could do you could go for a photo walk, because you could go in the city and find all kinds of great subjects. You're in a mall.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to walk in a mall?
I don't know.
That was like really, and then people in the mall, if you're taking pictures, they're looking at you like, what the hell's going
Take a
on?
picture of this trash can, or take a picture of the everyday plants you always see in malls.
Yeah, that was tough, very
Mm-hmm.
tough. And we did get the big screen TV.
Yeah, eventually you got upgraded equipment.
Yes. Um, but you still got various levels of knowledge from the people that came in. So pretty much you had to keep it at a very basic level. We had key points that you wanted to cover to make sure that these people knew that. And then if they would come back, okay, then you could move up in terms of a knowledge base. But you'd always have somebody that was new to the iPhone, for example, and they're like lost when you start talking. Other people had been to various sessions that you knew, and they wanted to know more. They wanted to go beyond the basics.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of tough.
Well, what's tough about it is because you're not talking about a specific app. You're not talking about specific things. You're focused on one thing. You have a very strict script because I remember you had those. I saw them.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is not what a creative was originally here for. Now, there's other people that thrived in this today at Apple that we know of. But for people who were older in the one-to-one program, it was not the same. And I'll be honest, they should have been moved out because you were basically forcing them to learn things that, like, for me, being a creative right now, I would have to force myself to learn how to draw, force myself to learn how to, learning Swift. Like, it's just stuff that you don't.
Right.
I have a much bigger skill set than doing this, and teaching the way we taught in one-to-one was, to me, the perfect solution to this that never should have went away. If anything, at least if they offered it for free, they would bring people back to the store and hang out in the store and buy more stuff, especially that we could do the same things in a one-to-one. We were doing that anyway. People bought hard drives. People bought better cameras. People bought all these different things. Like, even if we did one from home automation, people, like, we would tell them how home automation works. Like, that would have been a great subject to add to one-to-one. But the idea of them trying to tighten it up so much and script you and try to and to make you think that doing this in a mall and doing this in Fifth Avenue are the same experience, you are dead wrong.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and unfortunately, the stores in the malls cannot do today at Apple
Yes.
the way they have it.
Not well. I mean,
They can't. No, they can't. Or they have to have material that is much better than that.
listen. I thought I had a good solution. You're familiar with Quaker Bridge, right?
Of course, I worked there.
All right. So the front of the store where they used to have displays, right behind the windows, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That area was never used for anything after the displays went away because they did away with displays.
Yep.
I submitted an idea that they take if you're in the back of the store, what would be the right side of the store and right behind the window, take that TV and mount it on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
put glass partition around it with a glass door, whether it be sliding or whatever, and a long table that would fit 4 on each side. Conduct the training sessions there. It solved 2 things. It gave you would be able to shut the door and block out the store noise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it would showcase whatever the training session was, so that people walking by would say, what's going on there? Rather than it being all the way in the back of the store.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would have piqued the interest.
People would look through the window. People would look through the window and see what's going on. Now,
Yes.
Everything's changed now because COVID-19 basically squashed today at Apple. So Apple thought their solution to that was, well, okay, we'll put videos on our website to show off some of the things we were talking about, which was, okay, great. So they're using actual creatives.
Right.
Again, they're very scripted to what Today at Apple is, but here's what pisses me off the most. If you go on that website right now and you look at the videos, they're the same videos from March.
Yes.
Which means they have not done anything with that. And again, which pissed me off even more, they didn't put it on their damn YouTube channel, which they have so many subscribers.
Yeah.
Like here's an example. We have a video right now. You can go watch on YouTube on how to learn Pages. It's a very beginning tutorial of what? It's me doing a screen share of how Pages works. It's a 7-minute video. The feedback we are getting on that one is amazing. Why? Because it's what a creative would do if you were there with them, which is why people are gravitating towards it. If you look up Apple Pages, how to use Apple Pages, we're on the first page, people on YouTube, and the reason why is we do a good job explaining it. We do a better job than Apple explains their own stuff.
Well, and the thing is too, Will, I think on the videos, you should be able to build on them. So you have intro, some basics, volume 1, basics, volume 2, and then you would pick up from where you left off.
And that's where I left off. I left off at a very basic level.
And so you could build a catalog where I just think Apple is, I don't know that they're missing. I just don't know that.
Not caring? Not caring. There's bigger priorities than that.
Yes. Yeah. There's bigger priorities than that. You're right. That's what I think it is.
Yes. And that's fine. But now COVID's over, right? We're going to go past COVID now. All right. Well, let's think of a year from now where the Apple stores are open back to normal, right? Who's going to go in and do one of these Today at Apples now?
Well, I think it's going to be very hard to get them started again. And again, if they stick to that same format, I don't think people are going to go like, hey, you go back and you learn the same stuff you learned before.
I would have a better chance of opening an Apple training facility.
Yeah.
And I'd do better than what Apple does. And if I did it for free or did it for like the same $100 that 1-to-1 was, maybe I'll call it 2 for 2 instead. Okay. And do the same thing. But,
I have to be honest with you, Will, I've been approached several times.
Yeah, of course. We all got approached to do this on the side, which I'm not going to lie. I've done it and got paid for it. Very handsomely, might I add.
And the only I keep thinking about the one time we went and we begged. I mean, begged. You remember when the managers, had this big push about Apple becoming part of the community.
Yes.
All right.
Like going out there.
Yeah. So we had this photography group that wanted to have a session for their group.
Mm-hmm.
And we begged the managers to have us set it up. We said, well, they just got to go and sign up. I go, there's 10 people. How are you going to get 10 people? We want to have this just for them. Right. So that their photography group, they get 10 people to come in. And if more want it, well, then we'll create another one. Wouldn't do it.
Yep.
They said, that's not the way it works. And I couldn't understand how, on the one hand, you're saying you want to be part of the community, but now you're stopping
and
group from coming in.
And we in the 1-to-1 era, I think that would have happened.
Oh yeah,
because we did it. I did a whole Final Cut Friday. I created my own script for Final Cut and did it within a month. It was called Final Cut Fridays, which not only was I doing that, a lot of Apple stores did that, and we would have our own script teaching the new Final Cut 10. I did a full entire month of it every Friday morning for 2 hours. And I created a script and everything. I sent it to Apple. Apple approved it, and I did it on the schedule. It was really great. I did that at the Cherry Hill store.
Wow.
So here's what I'm thinking what's going to happen. In a post-COVID world, the creative role is brings absolutely no value unless they start using them for an online presence. And if they don't do that, I'm sorry, Frank, I don't think a creative has a role in the store anymore. And I'll be honest, I think Apple could just do the right thing by either just moving them to AppleCare support or creating a new online program that creatives can be a part of and remotely help people.
That's where I was just going to go with it. I was thinking that, do you remember in the one-to-one, when people would come in, they would have a project in mind. They would have something that they wanted to do. It wasn't just, okay, show me how this works. You know what I mean? They were working on something, whether it was pages, whether it was numbers, whether it was iPhoto or Aperture. So they were invested in learning something. And I think if they created a program where people would sign up and say, I'm working on creating a book, whether it's a family memoir or whatever, how can I do that in Pages?
Mm-hmm.
And create a session with a creative doing screen share, and they can review that and say, okay, I see what you're doing. How do you want to do it? Like, do you want to do different colored text to highlight something? Do you want to, the different formats, things of that nature? I think that would be successful, depending upon, again, how they market it. That's the big thing.
I think that's gonna, and I'm hoping that they'll find something for them. But I can tell you right now, today at Apple, to me, is not that great. I don't think it works in every Apple store. It works in some of the stores, but not all of them. And the ones that are in the malls that don't have the redesigned stores, they are not worth going to. They are, and I feel bad for the people who apply for that role or are in that role now, because I feel like they're not going to have that role when they get back there. Or if they do, it's going to be another one of those weird transition times, Frank, that you were in between one-to-one and then when today at Apple came out. And you're talking like that was like a year or two before that actually made that change. So that's why we wanted to talk about it, to get your attention of it, that the Apple Store creative role was valuable to Apple. I don't think it's valuable anymore. And I think that at this point, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but if they don't change it to a more online presence or go back to that experience that they used to give with one-to-one, I don't see a value in it.
We're talking about this, and Will, this could be another avenue for us. This could be tune into our Think Different Learning. So,
well, we have a YouTube channel.
We do. So it may be something forthcoming in 2021.
And that was my transition, is that we want to do more stuff, especially the feedback we've gotten from our training videos. Let's bump it and keep it going. So we're going to try to do more training videos on our site. And it's coming from creatives, and you're not going to get that experience from anybody else. So we hope you guys take a look at our YouTube channel, check it out. I'm excited for this year. 2021 is going to be an amazing year, Frank, as we continue forward. So we want you guys to join us on our YouTube channel, and make sure you subscribe to us on all of our platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Pandora, every single podcast platform. And please give us a review. We want to thank you all for joining us for another week here at the Think Different Podcast. And I love every single one of you.
Peace out.